people that don't do 3D wouldn't realize how meticulous and slow it is to create something that looks fast.
The most time consuming was the rendering and especially the hair.
Okay. I was hoping there was gonna be a quick trick there.
Right here is quite flat, so I wanted more details. In the end, I only use it for the alpha, so only the transparency is used. So I wanted this painterly style to be in there.
That hair on the lower left looks great. See that how it curls and how you have it very soft and you have the little hairs in there?
Most of the people that actually have a very distinctive style, it took them a long time, and also like they put emphasis on the stuff that they like to do, not what the trend is at the moment.
Hello and welcome to Pixel Peeps, the show where we take a deeper dive and closer look at some of today's best digital art, along with the artists that create them. Today, we're talking with Claudiu Tanasie, a character artist who's currently a character art director at Avataros Studios and has been a freelance character artist for many years before that and worked on things with Goodbye Kansas and many others. Claudiu is an amazing character artist who's done these really unique stylized characters. Today, we're taking a deeper look at his artwork called Broken Faith. Before jumping in, I want to mention that we did have some technical difficulties during the recording, just with his internet and just some like technical snafus. So we did our best to put everything together. We're missing some footage, but overall, I think it's still a super strong episode. Can't really tell, and we did have to use the lower resolution recordings for the end, but we got the whole talk with him there. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Please enjoy this talk with Claudiu. Let's talk about Broken Faith. I just keep coming back to it. I know I've seen you've like kind of progressed, and that's to be like a part of a series. And in general, I think interesting character, but the style too of the, this top comment here kind of says it all, and it's the most upvoted one, that it's like clay, and I just think it's great. I'm always on the lookout for like very stylistic but 3D, like not exactly faking like a photograph of a sculpt, if you know what I mean. Even though I think those are cool, I always get really excited about people kind of playing with the medium and making a new thing. And I think this is kind of like that. So anyways, excited to talk to you about it. I think this is awesome. And I think the first question just would be, what made you decide to make this particular project?
Like you said, it's part of a series. And it started with me getting sick of spending, months and months or even a year on a more complex project. And I wanted to get something quicker. So this was like, it started with Sorrow just because you were showing all the ones. So it started with that one and evolved. Like this was a couple of days, I think. It got longer, the production process. The
Painter more. I guess you made it done. No, maybe you didn't do Painter here, but
no Painter in the first one. But even the textures are not exactly super stylized. The simple way to put it is like I take scan, like a texturing XYZ, or I think this one was from Surface Mimic, and I remove details. The idea is to make it clear, to remove some of the noise and put some emphasis on some areas that I think they are more important. So most important part of the look is still the sculpt from ZBrush. A lot of people ask me about the turly look or like the brush strokes. Those you can see them like in the clay render. That's where they come from. It's done in ZBrush.
Are you doing anything special in ZBrush? Any settings you're messing with?
We can take a look in ZBrush. Like with my settings, it's nothing extraordinary. I think I make the steps of the brush smaller, so it doesn't have that many stamps on it. But apart from that, not much else. And it's a combination of brush, so it's clay buildup with trim dynamic and H polish. I think most of the work is done that way.
what about the kind of design or the concept? Where did it come from, and what were you trying to achieve maybe when you set out on this one?
On most of my personal pieces, I start from an image or a few images. On this one, I was watching a TV show, the Fall of the House of Usher, and the main inspiration was Mark Hamill from that series. So a lot of the people that commented on our station or Facebook recognized the inspiration.
Oh, okay. It's the Mark Hamill's character.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
even the glasses are like taken from there, but
Yeah.
in general, like I start from an image that gives me a good feeling to start with. Like they have a appeal from usually an emotion that you feel when you look at them. Then I try to identify the essence of that image and then push it a little bit more to that's the idea, to get a clear image of that.
Still there?
Like my first read of that image, I try to simplify it and then emphasize it.
Maybe another basic question maybe is like, you mentioned how you started making fast projects. Another reason why this stuck out to me. I'm also have been on the lookout of how can I make sketches to achieve these things of like making characters and having fun and making something presentable. And I think you knocked it out of the park with these later ones. So I think, it's cool to see you got there. So I have some questions like about the hair that I have some theories on too, but maybe you could tell me how long this one took.
I think in total 2 or 3 weeks,
Okay.
weekends and a little bit free time over the week.
Yeah, not too bad then. Not crazy sketch, but
The modeling would take a day or two
ah,
because I would get to a point, but then I would iterate on that, and usually getting a fresh pair of eyes, another day helped a lot. The most time consuming was the rendering and especially the hair. That was
oh,
the
okay. I was hoping there was gonna be a quick trick there.
no.
Maybe we could damn. Hey, maybe we could cross that bridge if you have any source files, but maybe you could just tell me now. Because what I thought was you found some sneaky way to use a ZBrush brush to make like tubes. Let me see if I have it right here. So you can see in the sculpt, because I saw in your early works too. So you have this, and I thought if you made a curve brush or you modified one to essentially have a UV just vertical, maybe you were doing like a gradient and it was that simple, but it sounds like it's not that simple.
No. It wasn't that simple. Like the idea was to go for an illustrative look. Like I'm a big fan of the golden age illustrators and even today's illustrators. Like I watch a lot of lectures from Illustration Academy. Like they have some free lectures online and also some drawing sessions that they do. I don't know if each week, but regularly. One of the pushes for me to go with a different style than you regular see
Yeah.
in games was from one of their lectures. They had a lecture on style, which is quite important for for an illustrator. My reasoning was that it would add a lot of value even to my work. I'm not necessarily an illustrator, but having something that makes your works recognizable, is easier recognizable, and
Yeah.
having something of value that only you can add. So that was the mindset behind it. So I had a good idea of what I wanted to get with the hair, and I did try with ZBrush and fiber mesh and other
Yeah.
stuff, but I ended up using XGen for the
Oh,
geometry,
okay. Okay.
and then for the look dev and the final look, I probably went with the most expensive from a rendering point of
Oh,
view.
really?
Yeah, the most expensive approach, I think so. It's a mix of real time techniques, like stuff that you would use with alpha cards, and Arnold rendering and stuff like that. So in a simpler ways. I'm using XGen to generate the alpha cards, but the rendering it's very similar to what you would see in a real-time asset.
Okay, well, is there any part of the render that is Arnold? Is the whole thing final image in Arnold?
Yes, it's rendered in Arnold, because Arnold is not meant to be used with alpha on the the hair shader from Arnold is not meant to be used with alpha on each one of the strands. It took a very long time to render. Like, I think render without hair it would be a few minutes. Render with the hair it would be at least a couple of hours.
For an image or a turn?
For an image.
Wow. How long did? Okay, so did you do a color turn? No.
And
that's why.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Like, the clay render is gray. It would have looked cooler with the subsurface scattering and all that stuff from the shader, but it was way too expensive to get a render that way. And like I said, at least half of the time spent on this project was the hair.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's cool to learn, because, like I say, when I saw this, I was like, oh, he probably devised some super.
I wish.
It is. Yeah. You said you set out. By the way, you said you set out to do like kind of a trademark style hair and I see it as this is like, it's in between. It's not photorealistic. It's not typical. It's like 3D brushstrokes. And so mission accomplished. I think it looks really cool.
Thank you.
Now we learned that it's hard to do.
Yeah, it's very expensive on the render side.
You also have a variety of values here going on, which help the brushstroke look. And I wonder how meticulous you have to be, or if, again, you kind of found a clever way to vary up. Again, it looks like strokes, right? And it looks like it's easier to see on the longer one. The lines are a different kind of value, but all the way through. See what I mean? So you can kind of see the difference, which is great. Yeah.
They are actually, like, I think 8 images that I randomly distribute between the alpha cards. Let's put it this way. So you just draw a line and you can see like all the parallel strokes. That's actually the width of an alpha card. They are quite wide, and because
and then there's some thin ones too.
I think the thin ones are mostly from the alpha.
I see. Okay.
So because there was a lot of overdraw, I would imagine that's why it took so much time to render. And there's a bunch of overdraw, and there's also the subsurface scattering and all the fancy stuff that the shader is doing behind the scenes. So that took a very, very long time. It was worth it because I didn't started with the goal, okay, I need to get something very fast. The idea was to have a mix of, faster than my usual workflow.
And so, I was going to ask, so are you starting with a sphere, kind of sketching and staying loose?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, I usually start, and actually I have it here.
Oh, yes, there we go. There he is.
Yeah, so I usually start from a base mesh just because I want to speed up the process as much as possible. If I don't need to do UVs and
that's what I was gonna ask. That's what I was asking. Projecting,
no, this is probably closest to a workflow that you would use in production. Is not necessarily made for improving your anatomy skills or something like that. It's more to getting results as quickly as possible. I was using a vase mesh I had done for other projects earlier. Just kept the part that I was interested in, and then filled in the backside or the underside. Yeah.
So you are projecting the texture, because we see the texture here. You mentioned sometimes using images. Are you projecting in here?
This is a texture, and let me switch to flat render.
So we already have the okay. Yep.
Right, so it's an actual texture, I think. It's not even polypaint yet. Oh no, it's polypaint.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's polypaint, but it's regular texture for what you would get from texturing XYZ.
It's more detailed than I thought it would be. I mean, I thought it would be pretty
this is the
impressionistic.
start. Actually, this is the start. This is what I start with. Like I said, I try to make it as fast as possible. Yeah. So I was doing something like I started with this texture, then get some contrast and adjust colors. So I would get some. I remember playing with gamma, RGB contrast. Something like I would get some obscenely contrast first, right? So I would get something like this, and then I would remove some of the details. So actually, let me start.
But I assume leaving some fine detail here and there is like an accent.
Yeah. So that was the idea. So it would be something like something like this.
And this is a brush that's just poly paint, not affected.
Yeah, it's only poly paint, and I usually go with harder brush, something like this. But yeah, I would very strategically remove noise and keep details in some areas, and that was the thinking behind it.
And cool, interesting.
Right, so you can see like.
And so it seems like in general for the sculpting and the texturing, you're keeping the project symmetrical for as long as possible, and then you're posing it at the end and then finishing it.
Yeah, so keeping the symmetry at the start, but at the end, like asymmetry is one of the biggest things that's added to the appeal. Like you can see his face is.
It looks cool just like this. You can you can tell that it looks
like getting a cool silhouette and like I said, a big inspiration with the illustration. I'm not sure like if he's considering himself an illustrator. Like Thomas Fluharty is doing this stuff. Open come on. You'll see some elements from his work.
Pretty distorted.
Yeah, a lot of distortion, and like he has some it doesn't let me on this browser, but he has some videos where he goes into more detail on his approach, and like his work is a lot more close to a caricature than what I did. But I just took whatever I could and implemented in my work.
I think you have just the right amount of caricature here. That's what I like about it. Also, the asymmetry you mentioned too. I didn't call it out yet, but it's like very asymmetric. You see how like low the ear is on screen left. It's really cool.
Yeah. So that was like it's like a lot of skewing. Like the top of the head is pushed in here and outwards on this side. One ear is higher than the other. The jawline, the mouth is pointing to the screen left and all the stuff. Like I do start with symmetry, and I try to keep it as much as possible, but at some point like the medium details and the small details are done with asymmetry. Like I turn off symmetry and start doing it on each side to get as much variation as possible.
I mean, so far it's interesting. It might be noteworthy for people doing a style, and I want to mention the glasses too in a second, but just people doing a style or newcomers or something. It's just like in 3D things want to be perfect. And you could see like what lengths you've gone to, because even I assumed you started with a sphere and all that, because it naturally makes things look sculptural. But the fact that you're starting with a base mesh and you're starting with a photo scan, you're having to put in a lot of effort to get to this that looks a lot more like an illustration, meaning like things are super not perfect and they don't look like photos, and so you're almost like starting in a hole and you have to go farther to get this specific look, which is cool.
It's probably also a matter of perspective. Like for me, it's easier to go this way just because I'm used to the production workflow, and it's easier for me to start with a scan for the albedo and just remove details than doing it from scratch and get the details I wanted. So it depends probably on what's the most comfortable thing to do for each person. For me, it was easier this way. and faster. Like that was
Yeah,
a
for sure, for sure. But I think, I mean, I was even surprised how long it took. A little. It didn't take too long, but I just think something that's really cool about these works as a part of your series is that they look fast. You know, they look like they have a lot of
yeah,
energy,
yeah,
like as if like an alla prima painter painted it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you're spending, you know, that's what I think a lot of people that don't do 3D wouldn't realize how many hours and like how
Yeah.
meticulous and slow it is to create something that looks fast.
But yeah, yeah. I don't remember who said it, but you should make it look at like you should invest as much effort as possible to make it look as effortlessly as possible. So
Nice.
yeah, it should look easy, quick and easy, but people won't know the amount of effort that you put into it. Like I said, the hair was by far the most time consuming part, and it was the most experimental on my part. 90% of my work is in games, so I don't have that much experience with Arnold and offline rendering and shaders for offline rendering. So it
Okay.
was
Yeah.
I was also learning while experimenting, which is probably not the best combination, but
No, I think it's the best combination for sure.
yeah.
About that though, wouldn't it be cool if there was a game that was this kind of style? You know, I know you worked on Dishonored 2, right? Briefly.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think this looks like a elevated version. People love the Dishonored look, and I want more games to have a really strong style, and I think it'd be sick if this was,
Yeah,
you
so
know, like walking
uh
around in real time.
Dishonored and Arcane's art direction stuck with me. Like I think I worked on that project for a year or a year and a half, but it's been like a huge influence. It was um, a mindset shifting moment for me, just because up to that point it was all about speed and just producing stuff as quickly as possible. Like my mind thought, okay, my client pays me to get this asset to a good quality level in as little time as possible.
Hmm.
But when I started with them, it was like a big shock. I don't think I got as much feedback on an asset as I did on that project. It was hard for me to just slow down and focus on quality and the art direction. And they were very keen on that art direction, and you can see it in the final product. It's like I don't know how many years old is Dishonored 2,
Yeah.
but so many people still reference it, and
Yep.
not only in the games industry, even in animation and
Yeah.
cinematics and all that stuff. So
Like Love,
uh,
Death, Robots and stuff like that.
yeah,
Probably
yeah, yeah.
reference it.
Most of the offers I get, it's people have to mention Dishonored somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. So yeah, it's still
Well, for what it's worth, I mean, I think this is like related to it, but at least to me, this seems like a cousin. This doesn't seem exactly
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dishonored.
So
It's like
that
an
was
elevated version.
yeah, that was the idea. I was like I said, the influence is stuck with me. It's there, and it will be there for probably for a long time. But I wanted to get in a slightly different direction. I wanted to get some of my own inspiration and stuff that I like in my work. So it should be more personal. That was with the thing with style, and people just usually just look at the style that's very popular at the moment and try to imitate that. But most of the people that actually have a very distinctive style, that it took them a long time, and also like they put emphasis on the stuff that they like to do, not what the trend is at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's a reflection of their own personality and mind.
Yeah, I mean that's great and easier said than done, and I think I
That's
felt
true.
that by seeing your work. So when I was gonna talk to you, I wondered what you were gonna say about the style and everything because it could go either like someone's like, oh, I was just playing around and it came out like this, or it could be like very meditated and very thoughtful, and so that seems like what happened is you set out to do exactly what we were looking at and why people reacted so well. So I think that's
Yeah, and
cool.
and it
It's very
also like
original.
it's not visible on the social media and stuff, but it took even for me to reach this, it took me probably a few years from the moment I started thinking about this and trying to figure out ways of implementing them. It took quite a long time. So, and you can also see the progression from the series, like the first character, Sorrow, I think, is the first one.
Yeah.
Like you can see how simpler is that one compared to the next ones, and it was a progression.
This one I think you hit full stride. This is the first one with the hair too, and
Yes,
the caricature and a lot more, visible strokes and stuff like that. Very carved up. It helps too. Kind of an ugly guy. I mean, not that he's, you know what I mean, like like appealing ugly. So,
yeah. That's something I gravitate to. Like it's easier for me to make something like this than a pretty girl, or I find it more appealing. Like you can see a story behind a face like this. Like you can have a very good read on his mindset and also his mood, his way of living.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, the glasses, you can see how they're all irregular. Is that another?
Yeah.
Slowly but surely doing that, like with the brushes and moving stuff.
Yeah, this is a clear influence from Thomas Fluharty. Like he puts a lot of emphasis on I don't remember how he calls it, but like making it as irregular as possible. He has a technique like I think it's blind contour. It's something that's been around for ages. Like you would look at an image and trace with a pencil on a paper, but you don't look at the paper, you just look at the image, and you get a lot more expressive strokes just because your brain tries to replicate the essentials, but it doesn't have the very precise control that you have when you have the eyes looking at the paper, and your brain recognizes, okay, I got off from the line I wanted to do, and they correct very fast. So you have the essentials and these very wonky lines. It looks cool.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we could take a look at your Maya scene too, if you could have it. But before we do, I'm just curious about the hairs. You mentioned making it an X-Gen, and I assume texturing it in Maya. Are we seeing those brought in just so you can visualize?
That this is for visualization only.
Are you editing them in here at all, or no?
I tried, like it was back and forth between Maya and ZBrush, because I never got the Maya camera to look exactly like the ZBrush camera, so it would be a back and forth. And like maybe it's a good time to show the progression images, because
I'd love to see that.
Right.
Heck yeah.
So I think this was the first one I got from ZBrush, and I think the texture is the original texture on this one, or very little edits. So
already have the goatee though. Already have the hair started.
Yeah. So it's there, but I think this one, actually, this one is from ZBrush. I think this you can see like there's there are tubes, right?
Yeah.
So this is from ZBrush. I tried initially with
fiber mesh.
But didn't get the results I was looking for. But like I brought it. This was another thing that I did differently on this project compared to others. Like I brought it into Maya as early as possible, because I knew that the look changes in Maya. So I brought it as early as possible into Maya, just to assess and decide, okay, what do I need to change, what's working, what's not working, and stuff like this. So
boom. All right. Big update already.
But this was like I said, a big update, because once I got it into Maya, I realized, okay, there's a bunch of stuff that it's not working, but it wasn't necessarily time consuming. It was just assessing with the final result in mind. So this, like,
literally just put a video out about this right now.
I
saw. Cool that you're showing this.
Probably the time it took me to go from this one to this one, it was less than, I don't know, a half or a quarter of the time it took me to get to this point.
Yeah, because then now
So
you have like you make yourself a list of all the things and moving the
yeah,
nose.
yeah,
And,
like
yeah.
when you have a clear idea of what you want to do, it's easier to do that, right? So you have a clear direction. Okay, these are the priorities, and focus on that. And this is the hair evolution mostly, trying stuff out, figuring, learning about the
Yeah.
shader, and this is
Oh, nice.
yeah, this is another big shift when I
Yeah.
realized, okay, I need to push the asymmetry and the
Ooh.
right, and you can see here is very clear that how much asymmetry
Yeah.
I add, and also how much emphasis is on the silhouette, because I very like even to this point it's looking somewhat symmetrical, but this you can see how
Yeah.
but no, yeah, the next ones are smaller steps, but yeah, like those.
Nice. Yeah, I saw in your final presentation too. You tried a couple different hairstyles.
Yeah, so this was so without the long hair in the back, it's probably close to the look Mark Hamill had in the TV show.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I tried that, but I don't know. Like it was also cheaper to render this way, but I also thought it looks better in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Like
like it.
it's
Yeah, it,
more.
it makes him more interesting to just have like long hair but be bald. You know, you want to see
Yeah,
that type
yeah.
long
Weird
curly
decisions
hair.
people make. Those are interesting to look
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he looks like an enforcer guy, which I guess is somewhat similar to the character in the show, but this guy's more of like a brute. Like seems like a
Yeah,
gangster enforcer
this is
guy.
probably closer to Tarantino, like what you see in a
Yeah.
Tarantino movie, and I love his work, so that's also
Yeah.
a big influence. So that's why. Let's see
Yeah. Great.
Maya scene. Hopefully it loads. Okay. Jesus.
Probably just lost your map. You know.
Yeah. So the paths are different, and
It's okay. We can still see the scene and everything. And we can see the tubes and everything. Yeah.
yeah, but also I think
Cool.
and also eyebrows. Yes,
Yeah.
it's messed
Without
up.
the map. Yeah.
Yeah. So the paths are all over the place. But I can
But then, do you have the geo in the scene? Like,
no
because you're not
not
render. Are you rendering XGen in the final renders? Or are you
yes
rendering it on?
yes no I'm rendering
Oh.
Xgen because the so I tried to use geometry because I would have more control over just tweaking it
Yeah.
and UVs and stuff like that, but the hair shader from Arnold
Yeah.
doesn't work with regular geometry. I tried for a
No.
long time to find a workaround, like okay, does it need some UV data? Does it need some other stuff? And I couldn't figure that out. If someone can have some, insights into this one, like I would be very grateful. But I couldn't make it work with regular geometry, so I needed to use XGen.
So then you weren't actually tweaking the shape of the hair in ZBrush
No, it
because
was
it's
more like
rendered
a.
in.
So I brought it into ZBrush and tweak it. Like it was just a quick way of trying things out. Like because
Yeah.
like initially it's way easier to
Yep.
go with a move tool, and does it improve the
Yeah.
silhouette, and then I would bring it back into Maya and tweak the
And try to
guides,
match
the
it.
X and yes, the
Okay.
XGen guides to match the changes I did in ZBrush.
Wow. Yeah. So we're looking at in the final renders, they're actual XGen curved tubes, kind of just really big and fat with a
Yeah,
Arnold
yeah,
hair shader. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So they are
Cool.
quite wide.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like how I could,
There's
but
also a lot of lights I'm seeing in here.
yes.
Is this
So
for the different angles or are they all used in a single image?
I think they are all used in a single image, but some of them are quite very low intensity.
Mm,
Like I wanted to have some. I don't know if I can.
very interesting.
Yeah, but like I wanted. Let me bring up the like. I would get from one image. I would get the rim light for this part, and then I wanted for it to continue a little bit on the jawline, and then I would add another light, and there's another. Most of the lights are for the rim lights.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a main light top left, then a fill light, like a big fill light, one for the background to have control of over the value of the background. So this is like the main 3 lights. Then a bunch of lights for the rim light, and also I think I not visible there, but I do have. So I think this was for the specular in the eyes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about an eye light, and also glasses. Maybe it's using the same light as the eyes.
Yes. It's the same one. Like I didn't, link lights to specific geometry. Like, it's harder for me to get a cohesive image when I try to do that. So lighting and rendering in general, it's one of those skills that I think make a huge difference, especially for your portfolio. But production artists don't pay that much attention to it.
Yeah, and you see how much it elevates the work.
Like we spend months and months on the actual model and texturing, and then slap screenshots that took us half an hour or something like that, and we ruined so much work. But
I agree, dude. Might as well go the distance and spend a bunch more time.
Like you invested so many months, spend a week to make some proper renders.
Can I see the mesh? It looked pretty dense too. Like, what do you no displacement maps or anything, right? It's just pretty dense.
There is displacement
there
maps.
Is. Oh my god.
Yeah, but
wow.
I think
so you're exporting the whole 32-bit EXRs from ZBrush. Oh, that looks decimated though.
Yeah, I tried to, like, for a while, like the initial renders were done with the decimated model to speed up the the rendering, so I wouldn't have to use displacement. But for the final renders, I did use displacement, so I think
and you could tell a difference.
Yes. So there was some, and like I said, I was spending.
You're also learning that workflow. You said, right? That, like,
yeah.
Do that in
it
games.
was also a lot of experimenting, but also I was, it took me 2 hours to render the hair, 10 minutes more for the, for sharper details on the geometry. It wasn't that much. I was willing to spend some more time on the renders.
Cool.
Because you would see, like, you would see some difference in the details, how sharper they would be, and
And so then you're also exporting out the color map with the multi-map exporter, and then applying it.
Yes.
It's not vertex color; it's a texture map now.
Yes, it's a. I don't remember actually. I think I actually used for some time. Oh no, actually it's not in this scene, because this is the XGen file. So I did it. I did a hair in one scene, the rendering in another one. So yeah.
How'd you get it in the other one? You're not doing like referencing and all that, are you?
Oh, referencing actually.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Fancy, bro. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like I tried to because I was working in parallel on the lighting and the XGen. I wanted to keep them separate, so that was the
cool, dude. I like that. Power using Maya right there.
Like it. Oh, actually, there's a bunch of stuff, like technical stuff in XGen and the shader. Actually, let me open the render. Yeah, so this is the part, the similar part to the Alpha Cards workflow. So I have 8. Is it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 images that I randomly assign to each alpha card, so to speak, like XGen alpha card. And I had this switch that made it with a noise texture from XGen. So I assign a noise texture in XGen just to have random values for each stroke, so to speak. And then I randomly assign one of these 8 texture.
I'm not used to images being assigned to XGen. So are those where are they being plugged into? Opacity? Where is that?
I think it's opacity. Yeah. Yes, opaque.
So are the images like alpha shapes, or what are they?
Let me show you. Okay, I have them here. You can see here like
you have brush strokes.
Yeah, exactly. But you can see how many iterations went into this one. Like even
normal map. Whoa.
Yeah.
So you're assigning base colors and normal maps to
No, like I tried
texture?
because
okay.
you let me bring up the image. Did I close the image? Jesus. Like right here is quite flat. So I wanted a little more detailed. So that's why I was trying to feed it a normal map, but I couldn't find a way to because the hair shader doesn't have an input for the normal map.
Yeah.
All the other shaders from Arnold have, but the hair shader doesn't need it. Like probably I'm one of the few guys that tried to do this. Like every other person, why would you need? Like I said, I did end up using it in a different way that it was supposed to function. So in the end, I only use it for the alpha. So only the transparency is used, and this is like there's not a huge difference between the actual ones, but it adds just enough variation.
Yes.
So
the primary use here is because what you would be seeing is again in CG the perfect straight edges and the tapers at the end, and so you need to just make them look more handmade and organic.
Yeah. So the focus on these images were like the tip and the root. To add variation, and also there's a bit of
some
fading to
feathering
the edges, just because I was getting very sharp transition, and I wanted
I bet. Perfectly sharp probably.
Yeah, so I wanted this painterly style to be in there. So that's why there's very soft transition.
I mean that hair on the lower left looks great. See that how it curls and how you have it very soft and you have the little hairs in there.
Yes. So this is also because the texture gets stretched on a very long plane.
So I wouldn't have even known or guessed that. I mean, I guess I would have guessed, but it never would have occurred to me that. I guess I use it for ramps, but just applying a texture would get applied to each hair, because these are actually these cards, quote unquote, are just fat ass hairs, right?
Yes.
Extra hairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that you're applying a texture per hair. It's pretty cool. I mean, I guess that's how it would work, but never thought of it that way.
Yeah, that's why it took me so much time to find the end result.
Yeah, anything crazy going on with the skin shader?
Not much. Like it's just subsurface scattering, and I don't even have a roughness or specular map.
Yeah,
it's all in the.
I like that, by the way. I think that's it's part of this. That's part of what the style ended up being. Is you very detailed sculpt, and then you've got a lot going on with the base color, and then the shine though is very simple.
I tried to add a a texture for the roughness.
Oh yeah,
but it ended up looking noisy. Way too much detail, and it was, like I said, it was adding noise, and it wasn't helping the image. So just simplifying whenever I could.
I have some questions here I'd like to ask people. So like on this project, what I think I know the answer. What was the hardest thing?
The hair.
The hair, yeah.
Yeah, by far the hair.
All right. Did anything about the project surprise you? Like anything that you didn't expect?
I would say almost everything, because the stylization I had started earlier, but like you said, this is probably the one that I got the most out of it. Like this was, when it clicked. So on the technical side, there was a lot of learning on my part, both, even making the displacement work, seamlessly, and then the hair X-gen part, and the shader for the hair, which was like a big learning process. And it was weird because I wasn't using the shader how it was supposed to be used. There was very little information on the stuff that I was looking for, so I had to search a lot for the information. Then in the end, if I didn't find it on the internet, I would try different stuff. Voodoo.
There's the first one that you did a base color this way too, right?
No, I think I did on the previous one too.
Okay. Oh yeah, the Asian dude, right?
Yes, the
Yep,
Asian
yep,
dude,
yep, yep.
exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What about the end results? Did it surprise you? Like, were you really pleased with the result, or was it? Did you not think it was that different? Were you surprised with the reception? Because got a lot of engagement on ArtStation and
I
people passed around. Were you
was
surprised by any of that stuff?
so I was surprised by the end result somewhat because, like I said, it
Mm-hmm.
was all experimentation, and I had
Yeah.
something in mind. I can't say I succeeded in implementing 100%, but at some point I went in a slightly different direction, and it was just as good as I had in mind. So
Cool.
there were some things that I couldn't make them work. Like for example, the hair on the top. I wasn't that happy with it. Like I like the goatee more, just because you can see some grouping in there, so it's not
Mm.
as noisy as the top one. So that's probably another reason why, like, the main image is without the top hair. But
Okay.
the reception, yeah, was great, and just getting the confirmation that what you had in mind is appreciated by other
Yeah.
people. It was great. Like, we talk so much
Yeah.
about likes and stuff like this, but they are a good barometer for, are you going in a good direction? Are you, because we are commercial artists at the end of the day. We like to do personal stuff, but there's also commercial part to most of the stuff we do.
Yeah, I feel that too. I mean, when that's happened to me, where I think something's cool, and then you make it, and then it gets more engagement than you would expect. There's a kind of a confirmation, or gives you more confidence that, like, okay, cool, like, yeah, what I think is cool or what I like, people like, and it kind of motivates you to do more, or double down on that, and
Yeah.
it's great when it's personal
Yeah,
stuff.
but it also goes both ways when when you work so much on one piece, and you are so happy with the end results, and you don't get that confirmation. That's
Yep,
also,
that happens all the time too.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, you
was
never really know exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that
Yeah.
was the one of the main reasons I started, developing this workflow to get to smaller projects, so I can, get this feedback more often. Because, like
Yeah.
I said, I would spend a year of my free time on a personal piece, and then it wouldn't have the results I was hoping for. It also helps with focusing on the priorities, like the Pareto principle, or 80/20 rule. Like,
Yeah.
focus on the stuff that has the biggest impact. That help
Yeah,
a
it's a,
lot.
it's a great example of that. Yeah, it's very efficient. You get a lot of character, a lot of personality, great presentation, strong portfolio piece with as minimal amount of parts as possible, pretty much. All right. Well, hey, if you were to do this one over again, would you change anything about the process of this one?
Uh,
Anything about this that you look at and you go, I wish I did something different?
Not really. No, like,
Cool.
this was, well, at least most of us are perfectionists, but I'm cool with this one. Like, if this
Great.
is the result I would get on a regular basis, I would be very happy with it.
Cool. Okay, here's one. So, if you could give your younger self any piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh man, so much stuff. I would say work a lot on personal pieces. Most of the time, this is where you learn the most, because this is
Yeah.
where you will have the most freedom to experiment. In my portfolio, I think the last 10 images are personal pieces, just because at some point, the commercial stuff didn't fully resonate with me. It's like, okay, I did this project, it was cool, but I wouldn't probably do this all the time. So I would want some variation. I would want some, closer to what I like to do most. So that's where
Yeah.
the personal stuff come. comes into play. Like this is where you can actually do the stuff that you like. And this is also like a good recommendation for everyone. Like don't follow the trends, or at least if you want to do that, try to find the intersection between what's trendy right now and what you actually like to do. If you find that middle ground, that's ideal. That's you have the drive to do it, and it's also trendy, so you will have a bigger chance of more exposure.
Yeah, I ditto that, and just to add on to that, I mean, it's something I try and preach a lot is personal work. It is easier said than done. With
That's true.
just balancing things. And I had my own rough times when I was young. It got a little bit easier as I got older, but you can freeze up. So there's a lot of like mental gymnastics and anguish too that you kind of have to find a way to balance this stuff. But if you can achieve a balance and do it in a healthy way, I think personal work is great for the reasons you mentioned. I just want to like re-emphasize it and like underscore that one is you're learning, and you're learning sometimes a lot more. You're learning outside of what you get paid to do, obviously, because when they ask you to do a job, that's what you're doing. And when you're doing a personal work, like all the things you mentioned on this project, you hadn't come across yet. So that's still like new areas, because what you're trying to do is achieve something that you're interested in rather than a set thing that you might already know how to do, which is what people are going to pay you to do. And then you get to spend time learning more about and refining like your own taste and opinions. That's how you're going to make things that are original. You have to spend time doing that, and finding your own voice, finding your own. And again, that could be a long process, but it's worthwhile. And I think actually deep down, that's why we even got into doing things, and you can lose sight of that if you just are an artist for hire. And then the thing I really want to underscore is what you mentioned. So you're saying that you did personal work, and that you are at a point now in your career where you're doing paid work, but then you're choosing to not put it in your portfolio. What you're populating with your portfolio is the personal work you're doing, because that's what says more about what you want to continue to do in the future. So like if it attracts work, if it attracts opportunities, those opportunities would be a lot more aligned with what you're interested in.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think just because they are more personal and they stick out, I get more, engagement even from the people that actually want to hire me. Like right now, most of the offers I get are related to this image, for example, and of course related to designer. But I started getting offers just because of the style of these images.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's more aligned with what I want to do.
And it really it's the only people ask me, how do I do this, how do I do that, and everything, and I know it's very reductive to say, but like this is the only control we might have in our career. Now you don't have a lot of control in this whole commercial art thing. There's a lot of luck involved in everything, but this is the only really measurable, quantifiable thing is your portfolio. And so by putting things in there that are personal, that you decide to put in there for the reasons that you're talking about, that's the only way that kind of can change your trajectory.
Exactly.
By contrast, if you took a job at a studio because they're going to pay you, that's great. And then they tell you what to make, and that wouldn't be what you would normally make usually, right? And you go, okay, and you make it for them, and that's the only work you have now.
It might work in the short term, but after a few years, depends probably from person to person. But I usually get sick of doing the same thing, especially if I don't like it that much to do it every day, and every day. So I might as well do what I really like. And also,
absolutely.
something related to what you were saying about the portfolio is it's important what you put in there, and also what you remove out of the portfolio, because you will evolve, right? So at some point, some pieces won't represent your current level, both artistically or technically. But also, I remember working on a project, and it was a very technical project. Like I needed to make a dress for a lady in a swing, it was very technical to get the final result, which looked great. Like I decided, okay, I don't want to put this in my portfolio because I don't want to spend all my time doing this technical stuff with
Yeah.
clothes. No, that's not what
Yeah.
I was, proud of the result. I was happy with the end result, but it wasn't something that I would be happy doing every single day.
I mean, another thing too is to keep in mind, people that are trying to do this stuff is no, just again, I think it's probably kind of beating a dead horse to do personal work, but again, like it's very real that there are lots of people, hundreds of people that work on projects for years. Like think about people at Riot. There's hundreds of
Oh,
people that have worked at Riot for years on a project, and then it'll get canceled and they can't show anything, so they don't
exactly.
have any proof of what they've been
Yeah, yeah,
doing.
yeah.
And so their career 4 years later visually is exactly where it was 4 years before. And then there's companies like Rockstar that don't even allow you to post work, which should be illegal, and that's terrible
Yeah,
too. So you can have a shipped game and still you can't show what you did on it. And
yeah.
this is again the
It
only form
happened
of
to me.
control we have.
It happened to me as well. So
Wow, really?
yeah, yeah. And I'm not sure if I should mention specifically, but yeah, I have a
Okay. Well, you don't have to, but you
yeah,
definitely learned your lesson. Like you said, the last 10 posts now are
yeah,
personal work now. So I think you're cooking over there and you're taking it
yeah.
in your
But
own hands.
like I said, I wasn't that bummed out just because I didn't identify fully with those works, but I do
Mm-hmm.
think that it shouldn't happen in this industry, especially because
No, it shouldn't.
I was a freelancer, and when you know that freelancer,
Yeah.
his livelihood is tied to that portfolio. Like that's how
Yeah.
an artist gets his work. Like why would you do that? Is it only the I don't know the lawyers that decides, oh, we don't want these images to be around, or we don't want to be associated with outsourcing or whatever. Like I worked on a project, it's like the credits only have like 5 or 4 character artists, and in reality it was like I don't know at least 20 that work on that
Mm-hmm.
project. But the credits only mention the in-house artists. Everyone that
Yeah, dude.
was outside of that studio wasn't mentioned, and it's like, hey, why would you do this?
Yeah. I wish that stuff didn't happen too, but like I say, I think right now portfolio and just doing your own
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
is
yeah.
the only
Like
way you
that's how
can.
you take control over this
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
that's when you actually can guide your trajectory, like you were saying. That's when you get happier doing your work.
Glad you're attracting more work, based on this and what you kind of created. And like I said, I would love to see a game, like a full game with
Yes,
characters
I
like
would.
this and a story. That'd be great.
It's weird because, like I said, most of the offers I get are talking about Dishonored and how they would love to get a similar aesthetic or look, but when
Mm-hmm.
they realize how much work and focus is needed, most don't. They go back to a more realistic look because
Yeah.
there's like you need good combination of a great art director, a great artist that understands his vision, and the investors and the money people that understand, okay, it's a process, you have to invest time and resources to get to that end result, and it's
Yeah.
very rarely that you get this combination.
Well, really cool, dude. Do you already know what you want to make next? Or are you already working on your next project?
Yes, like I haven't posted anything lately because I'm working with some friends on a project that takes
Oh,
longer, so
cool.
not sure what it will come out of that, but willing to experiment and try things, but we'll see.
Cool. Exciting.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anything that you'd like people to know about? I'm gonna obviously have your artwork and your like Instagram and in the description, but I don't know if you have anything new coming out or anything where people can see your updates. Is it ArtStation would be the best place to follow you?
Yes, yes, I don't. Nothing comes to mind right now, but yeah, ArtStation is probably the best place.
All right, well, thank you so much, dude, for your time and showing
Mm,
the process behind the scenes. It was great learning about how you made this.
Thank you, and really happy you invited me. really big fan of what you do. It's
Well, thank you, dude. Appreciate that. I'm glad you glad you got something out of it. Yeah, I'm a fan of your work too, man. So it goes
thank you.
both ways.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll end it there, and thank you guys, anyone that's still listening. Appreciate it. Thank you, Claudiu, for your generosity again and the awesome artwork. Again, the links to the full resolution, it's gonna be down in the description, so please check it out and follow Claudiu for the next things that he makes. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. Bye, everybody.